I'd like to bring this regular scheduled meeting to order, the Lee County Board of Education, Tuesday, May the 12th. First on the agenda is to everyone please take a moment of silence for your own personal reflections at this time. Amen. If you would please rise as we pledge allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have no public comments this evening. I will take a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Judge, move that the agenda for tonight be approved.
Second by Mrs. Mangum. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. I need now a motion to approve the minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the minutes for 4/21/09.
Second by Mr. Thompson. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This time I'd like to recognize Mr. Howard Surface with the County Health Department to make a presentation on the H1N1 virus.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Good evening, board members. Mr. Superintendent, thank you for inviting me. And I understand that this board moves diligently on, and I will move diligently on with my comments. I wanted to just make a few general comments about swine flu H1N1, primarily to say that when we look at public health outbreaks, the CDC asks us to be first, to be right, and to be credible with our public health responses, and we've made every effort to do that here in Lee County. Within the last 2 weeks, we have investigated 8 cases that have been referred to us. None of the 8 cases turned out to be swine flu. We did have a few hours of worry, though, but fortunately, none of that did take place. As of today at 11:30, there were 45 states with 3,009 lab-confirmed cases of swine flu, 3 deaths, 12 cases in North Carolina. Interestingly, 487 were in Illinois. Worldwide, 5,251. The United States has better than half, probably due to some awfully good case finding in this country. You may not see that in other countries. The concern with H1N1 is that it may spread in the southern hemisphere this year during their winter season, which is about to begin, and then head back to the northern hemisphere this fall and winter. They're worried about it being much stronger, much more virulent. A lot of predictions on what could or should happen, one of which is that there may be a vaccine out there, which is the good news. The other news is that if there was a vaccine and it came to Lee County, we would have to inoculate 60,000 people, probably within a reasonably short period of time. So I may be back before this board asking, could we have the assistance of some of your very good school health nurses to assist in that process? We're actually running the numbers on a spreadsheet now to find out how long it'll take us and how many shots can a nurse give per hour, etc. School guidance. I've had some discussions with Dr. Moss and Mr. Bryan. The key thing I would say for right now, I sure don't predict the future. I just hope May and June works out very well for everybody. Watch your absentee rates. They ask us to look at that because that's an indicator, obviously, of illness. I would look at something around 10%. A little bit of data that I've seen so far, I don't think you're anywhere near that. And I appreciate what you all are doing on that. You may want to consider at some point, and I know you're probably committed out, but the Board of Health has put together a committee to take a look at this possible flu epidemic over the next year, and we have a 3-person committee. If you all ever wanted to move in that direction, we'd be happy to work with you, and you just need to let me know. So at this point, things are plateaued out. We are at a new normal, which means we are aware of it. The state is actually shutting down their preparedness office in Raleigh, but told us to be prepared at about 24 hours notice in case something comes up, and we will be. So have I made my 2.5 minutes? I did bring a copy of our public health Bible. I'll give this to my young lady on the left. Influenza starts on page 315. Any disease you ever want to know about is in that book. So I'm making a copy available to the school board. Yes, ma'am. You have a question?
Yes,
I'm
sir.
sorry. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
Do the local doctors, if they have a suspect, notify you?
Yes, sir. Now, what they can do is they can also refer that case to Raleigh, but once that happens, we become, we're aware of it, and then we follow it with good case management from public health nurses. But if we're aware of it, we will work with them and make sure they have the guidance that they need to make certain decisions about, what you need to look for.
Any further questions? Mr. Surface, thank you for your time.
Thank you,
Thanks
sir.
for your presentation.
I appreciate it. Feel free to call us back at any time. We may be seeing you in the fall.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
This time, I recognize Wendy Carlisle.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm proud to be here this evening to talk to you about our Governor's School participants. Each year, Lee County students apply for the prestigious program. The competition is intense and rigorous with the brightest, most outstanding AIG students in the state of North Carolina applying for a limited number of positions to attend a residential summer program. This year, there were 1,800 applicants that submitted and 800 students chosen to attend. Lee County is very fortunate to have 3 of our own high school students selected to attend. From Southern Lee High School, we have Keely Wood, daughter of Jimmy Wood and Maureen Farrington. She will be attending Governor's School East in the area of English. And then John Clark Manus, son of John and Teresa Manus, has been selected to attend Governor's School West in the area of mathematics. We are fortunate to have with us tonight Miss Taylor Batten. Taylor, come here, baby. Taylor is the daughter of Greg and Tammy Batten, who are both Lee County Schools employees. She has been selected to attend Governor's School East in the area of mathematics. Taylor attends Lee County High School. She has distinguished herself at the school and in the community by participating as a member of the Storm All-Star cheerleading and dance team, as a volunteer with Habitat for Humanity and Meals on Wheels. She's received the honor of title of Junior Miss Lee Regional Fair. She's a member of the Lee County High School varsity cheerleading team, varsity ladies golf team, and varsity track and field team, during which time she participated with the Junior Jacket Cheer Camp, the Track and Field Academic All-Conference, and Golf Academic All-Conference. Taylor is a member of several clubs and organizations at Lee County High School, including she's the secretary for the Student Government Association. She's involved with Health Occupational Students of America and is a project coordinator for the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. She's also a member of the Key Club, Interact Club, and vice president of DECA. Taylor balances all of these activities extracurricular with an exemplary academic performance. And congratulations, we're very proud of you. Very good. And we should all be very proud of our young people who have applied for us to have 3 students selected this year out of 1,800 applicants is indeed an honor for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Recognize Glenda Jones.
Before Blizzard comes, what is a DECA?
Distributive Educational Clubs of America. It's the marketing program.
Okay, thank you.
All right, good evening, and we'd like to follow that with recognizing some of our best and brightest teachers who've gone on to obtain one of the highest professional credentials, their National Board Certification. Tonight we have with us one of those individuals, and that's Miss Pamela Summers, who is from Wesley Middle School, and I do want to recognize her and ask her to stand. I'd like to say that several of these other individuals are out they've have babies and are staying home right now to take care of them and could not be here with us tonight. And then others had parent night and other commitments. But I do want to recognize Pamela Summers, and I'd also like to recognize Camille House, who is our National Board Coordinator, Beginning Teacher Coordinator, and she does an unbelievable job of facilitating this process. So I'd like to... Along with that, I'd like to recognize Sonny Collins from Greenwood Elementary, who could not be here tonight, Tanya Como at Lee Early College, Paula Layton at Wesley Middle, Jenny Masco at Lee Early College, Catherine Parker at Lee County High School, and Deborah Wilkes at Southern Lee High School. I'd also like to point out that if you look at the data that I've included with this, we have 54 National Board certified teachers. About 7% of our certified staff are nationally board certified, and that's quite an honor. Camille and I were talking a little bit before this, and North Carolina tends to run neck and neck with Florida as having the most nationally board certified teachers, so we're quite proud of that honor. Okay. Thank you.
How do we rank with our neighbors,
Now, locally, with our,
local neighbors?
right, the leading county in the state would be Charlotte Mack, and then Wake. Of course, that makes sense because of their population is there. But for our size county, you know, like Ms. Jones said, 7% of our teaching staff. So that's a good number as compared with Chatham and Hardin. I don't know the exact numbers, but probably not too much more based on our population.
But certainly something we could get for you, because the state does track that data.
Would you like that information? I can get that.
So I look down the list, a lot of women teachers are. A lot of the women teachers have the National Board certification, but the men seem not to be on this list. Is there a reason that you may know of why the men?
No, sir, no reason. They're offered the same opportunity to pursue these credentials. But it's about a year-long process, and it's quite intense. Just really
It's a
can't
lot
give
of
a
work.
ratio.
As males would probably shy away from that much work.
I wasn't going to go there.
I know that's what you were thinking.
I was not going there, though.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Okay.
Thank you, Glenda.
You're welcome.
Before I recognize the committee reports by committee, Dr. Moss, do you have a superintendent's report that you'd like to share? Or?
I do, Mr. Chairman, but there was one item that I was going to update after the closed session. If I could just do the update completely after closed session.
That'll be fine. Before I recognize Mrs. Mangum, I'd like to announce that I have asked Mr. Williams to chair an ad hoc committee for the purpose of selecting the trustee that we appoint this year. We do have an appointment to make by June. Mr. Williams and Ms. Brett and Ms. Spence will coordinate with you, Mr. Williams, the publicity, the advertisement to notify the public that we are taking applications for the appointment. I've also asked Dr. Lynn Smith and Cameron Sharp to assist you in the recommendation to the board to be made in June at the June board meeting. At this point, I would now recognize Mrs. Mangum for curriculum and instruction.
Middle School Curriculum and Instruction Committee met on April the 22nd at Bragg Street. We discussed the testing calendar. For the first time, retested scores will be included with our original scores, and that should have a very positive effect on the county. Smart boards are here and are continuously being installed in classrooms. It'll take a while, but they will get there, right, Cindy? The Elementary C&I Committee met at Edwards on May 6th. We listened to a summary of the Graduation Ambassadors program, which pairs outstanding high school juniors and seniors with at-risk 4th and 5th graders. They serve as their mentors, and they are paid a small amount to go and work with these students. The positive effect that has been seen is that their grades have gone up, and also, but more importantly, behaviorally, they are vastly improved. All of our students and teachers right now are busy getting ready for tests, and we wish them well. They all look sort of tired. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Smith, Facilities and Technology.
Mr. Chairman, before I start, I'd like to call on Mr. Pittman to give us an update on the demolition of the foreign language building.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Let's see, on May the 4th, we got the clearance on the asbestos removal. Yeah, May the 4th. Contractor started inside stripping the building in the middle. They moved the heavy equipment in this past Monday. I talked with him today, and he should be out of there. He said the middle of the week or the end of next week. So by the end of next week, he should be gone. Everything's going well.
Good.
Any questions?
One comment. I will tell you, I was talking to a teacher the other day that had to move into the pod, and she said how nice it was.
Thank you.
And she was enjoying being in there.
Thank you.
At the Facilities Technology Committee meeting on April 28th, we had a proposal that I think the community would be interested in. We had the representative from J. Glenn Edwards School, who is president of PTA. They have raised $10,000 to build a picnic shelter at their school through the PTA and their fundraisers, and they asked permission to build it. I think it's just commendable for a PTA group to raise $10,000 to go out and build something at their school. That's just phenomenal. Fortunately, the governor allowed us to have a little bit more lottery money, so we approved 4 projects out of lottery funds. We also approved 4 projects out of capital funds. There was one interesting approval. This is on Mr. Pittman's recommendation that we purchase carbon dioxide sensors at Sandley High School. Southern Lee High School, excuse me. They're a little pricey. They're $350 a piece, and it's going to take 68 of them. But we're looking at saving $10,000 to $15,000 per year in heating and air conditioning costs, and that's long term. So I think that's a very positive thing to control our operating expenses.
Explain to me how one helps. I'm not very technical, but I just was curious.
As I understand it, these sensors monitor the CO2 level in the air, and that controls the outside air that's pulled in to bring in more oxygen and reduce the CO2 concentration. So the less outside air you have to put in, the less cold air you heat, and the less hot air you cool.
That's correct.
Is that?
Yes, sir. And when the law had changed when Southern Lee was built, they were bringing in like 15 CFM. It's dropped back down again now. So these sensors would help us on bringing in a lot of outside air that we're bringing in that we don't need. It closed it down. And plus it monitors how many people's in the classroom. If there's 10 in there, it's going to cut the damper. But when it gets 20 in there, it's going to open it up a little bit. But there is a savings there, and it's a big savings. It'll pay for itself in a couple of years or so.
So it's like smart energy.
Yes, and our energy committee, is looking into this, and that's the way we wanted to go with this thing with y'all's approval. Buy them as we can along and add a few.
This is not covered under our lottery fund, right?
That's
Is there any local funds available outside local?
we were gonna look at the end of the year and see how everything looked, and if we had some money there, we'd talk, buy what we can and install them.
We should be able to look at closeout funding and purchase everything out of closeout.
Will there be any green money, quote unquote, in the stimulus package that might speak to this?
I don't even know when we're going to get any stimulus. They keep giving us a date, and that date keeps disappearing, and then we wait for another date.
Thank you. Does that complete your report?
That completes my report, yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Thompson, Finance and Personnel.
The finance met last week. We had a rather short meeting, but very productive. We did was the student accident and athletic insurance. The proposal and discussion is in the consent agenda. There were 3 companies, and our current supplier was the lowest, and we have asking approval.
Thank you. Mr. Williams, policy.
Policy Committee met on April the 29th. I sent a copy of the minutes to each of you through your Board of Education email that shows what the committee did, and if there's no questions on our report, that would end my report.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is to approve the consent agenda. May I have a motion to approve?
Move to approve the consent agenda.
All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unfinished business, board policy, second reading. Mr. Williams.
Mr. Chair, I move that the Lee County Board of Education approve the second reading of policy 1000, 1400, 1610, 2000, 2230, 2335, 2440, 2610, 3550, and 4115.
This is coming from committee, would not require a second. Are there any questions? Being none, all those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. New business. Again, Mr. Williams, board policies.
Mr. Chair, I move that the Lee County Board of Education approve the first reading of policies 3300, 6225, 6550, 8720, and 8730.
Again, coming from committee, does not require a second. Any questions regarding these policies?
I did have one, and that's just something I'm sure that cannot be answered right now, but there is a new calendar law before the legislature.
There's an amendment to the calendar legislation that's been approved through committee, but it's not, to my knowledge, as of this afternoon, it did not make crossover.
So I didn't know.
That's in the House and not the Senate.
Correct.
So I'm holding my breath.
Yeah, I know you will.
If it hits the Senate, it'll never get approved, so.
Just curious.
Any other questions? Being none, all those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Mr. Williams, policy 7805.
Mr. Chair, I have 2 motions on that policy. First motion is I move that the Lee County Board of Education suspend the rules which interfere with the adoption of policy 7805 on first reading.
And this is coming from committee again. Any questions regarding the suspension of the rules for this particular policy 7805? Being none, all those in favor of suspending the rule as motion is presented signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Mr. Williams, your second motion.
Chair, I move that the Lee County Board of Education approve policy 7805 on the first reading as amended, which is the superintendent evaluation.
Again, coming from committee, are there any questions by any member of the board in regards to the revisions and changes to this policy? Being none, all those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The next motion is, I'm not sure that, Mr. Thompson, this is also coming from committee.
You have received the budget proposal for 2009, 2010. You have it, and we need the approval of the board.
And this budget book is coming from committee. Any questions regarding the budget for 2009, 2010?
Mr. Chairman, Ms. Hines and I did discuss the idea of how wasteful the time spent on preparing this, but she said it was by statute, so I have no question. But she's gonna have to go back, we're all gonna have to go back sometimes, whenever sometimes is, and approve a budget. But, we have a budget before you, so we recommend that you approve.
This is by, it is indeed by statute. We have timelines to approve, and the budget is before us. Any other questions or discussions? Being none, all those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next is a resolution, and this is this resolution will require both a motion and a second. This is coming from administration regarding the executive order number 11 that was issued by the governor's office, or the governor herself. So I'll take the motion if someone will make it.
Mr. Chair, I move that the Lee County Board of Education approve the resolution establishing and implementing a flexible furlough plan for the 2008-9 fiscal year.
Second.
Before there's any questions or discussions, I would like for the resolution to be read so that it is on the public record. Mrs. Smith, would you mind reading that?
The Lee County Board of Education Resolution on Governor's Executive Order Number 11, establishing and implementing a flexible furlough plan for the 2008-2009 fiscal year. Whereas, locally hired employees participate and contribute to the state's retirement system and health plan, and whereas, locally hired employees are paid on the state's salary schedule and within the state's salary ranges, and whereas, locally hired employees are provided the exact salary increases, bonus days, and benefits given to state employees and teachers, and whereas, the governor of this state is bound to balance the state's budget each fiscal year through all means given through our state constitution, and whereas, the governor of this state has implemented Executive Order Number 11, now, therefore, be it resolved that the Lee County Board of Education, through adopting this resolution, declares that all locally hired employees shall be treated as state employees and teachers under the governor's Executive Order Number 11. This order authorizes the superintendent to execute any and all components to comply with the governor's directive through the North Carolina Office of State Budget and Management for all employees hired by Lee County Schools, regardless of the funding source, adopted this 12th day of May, 2009.
Any questions or discussions regarding to the motion before us as well as the resolution that's been read?
Mr. Chairman, one other piece of information the board may want to know is that Representative Love has introduced legislation in the House that has already passed the House. I believe it's House Bill 917 that has gone over to the Senate that hopefully will alleviate this problem in the future.
Any other questions or clarification? Being none, all those in favor of the motion and the resolution signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'd like a point of privilege, please.
Mr. Williams.
Chair, I'd like to ask that the board would look at the Executive Order Number 11 that has applied to all of the employees of our school system, and ask that we would also adhere to the Executive Order Number 11 as it is written out. And I would like to move that the Lee County Board of Education fall under the Executive Order Number 11.
Second by Mrs. Smith. I would like to make a point of order. The resolution includes all county employees, of which we are school employees.
You're not
Not a
employees.
school employee, you're an elected official.
Okay. Just for clarification.
I have a question. When am I gonna get my time off?
When Tammy allows you that. Ellen, you had a question?
Well, I was
All
just
you
gonna
can skip the
say,
same board meeting, we just won't have a board meeting.
I guess in the motion, maybe there needs to be clarification in regards to salary. I don't know if there needs to be or not, because I was thinking about the time off that doesn't,
It's really not applicable to you.
right.
I think our motion is germane that we take the cut in the salary or the compensation.
The Board of Education take the same cut that other
That's correct.
employees are being asked to take.
It's a great idea, Sean.
Okay. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? The fifth item on new business is the cops secure our schools grant. This has been added, so again, we'll need a motion and a second before discussing. We have a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that the Lee County Board of Education apply for the COP Secure Our School Grant 2009.
Have a second.
Second, I'm not sure. I don't have that.
It's the new,
It was,
just
it
on your table.
was emailed to us. And
What's it for? I got no problem.
Yeah, that's it.
okay, well, let's just go ahead and, do we have a second?
Second.
Now, we'll discuss.
Only question, Mr. Chair, is I know it's coming out of the capital outlay budget, and I believe that somewhere in that budget, we did have cameras for some of the schools, so is that just gonna be a switch out? We get more cameras by taking this grant?
It will allow us to double up on the
That's
cameras,
exactly.
basically, because this is a 50-50.
Any other questions?
So money is available.
Yes, sir.
No further questions. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Mrs. Smith. Chair recognizes Dr. Linda Smith.
Mr. Chair, you have fundraiser, that under the consent?
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Lee County Board of Education go into closed session for the purpose of discussing information that is privileged, confidential, or not a public record under NCGS Section 143-318.11A1.
Second by Mrs. Mangum. All in favor signify by aye.
Nice.
We are back in open session, and at this time, the Chair recognizes Dr. Lynn Smith for a motion.
I make a motion to approve the Human Resource Officer's report.
All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Dr. Smith.
Make a motion to approve Mr. Melvin Marshall as the new principal at West United.
Second.
Those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
And I'd also like to make a motion to approve the administrative contracts as presented.
Second.
All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
And Mr. Williams.
Mr. Chair, I move that we would adjourn.
I do.
Oh, wait a minute, that's right.
You allowed me to give you a brief update after.
That's right.
Now,
I forgot.
let me first of all say that we do have a discretionary reduction. The state has enacted an additional $41 million across the state for public schools. Lee County's portion is $267,100. All of that has been reduced out of the non-instructional support line. They have allowed us, they've lifted the freeze to move money around within the state accounts. So we will be able to go in and move money around from all of the other state accounts, whether they be first time ever, you can actually move exceptional children money into the non-instructional support. So wherever we had money left on the table from the state, we can move it into instructional support. So that will end up being a wash for us. So the 267,100 will be washed out by the way we move money around within all the other state accounts, and we'll have it to the end of the month to do that. The budget, as you've heard, does not look good for next year. The House is looking at an additional $1 billion to try to cut. So I do anticipate classroom positions being eliminated due to the way the allotments will probably end up coming out. But let me go ahead and say that between our vacancy list, attrition, retirements, and those we have that are retired that are coming back, and because House Bill 956 is sunsetting in October, they cannot come back. Between those and some of the support positions we have out in the system that are not in the classroom, let me go back. Between those areas, we will be able to satisfy the state reductions. And as of today, I do not believe anyone that is currently employed that we bring back will have to be let go. Everyone will have a job that is currently employed that we bring back. When I say bring back, because you vote on offering contracts
Now,
next
say
year.
that
Assuming that
about
House bill.
People who have retired, though. Now, say that again.
The people, House Bill 956 sunsets October 2009. With its sunsetting, you cannot bring back retired teachers.
What about the ones that are already here?
That's it. The ones that are here that are retired, we will not be able to offer a contract to. Because the legislation that allows that to occur will no longer be effective.
Forever.
Unless the General Assembly decides to act on it.
And it'll,
What kind of numbers are we talking about there, Glenn?
It's
For
about
us, it's
12.
about 12. But unless they decide to reenact, and they typically reenact it, but we don't know what kind of changes they may have to that, so we can't hold a position from August till October to find out what they're gonna do with it.
Say people who are in your EC positions, will they in any way have protection?
Exceptional children, unless they fall into this category, if they fall into this category, they don't have protection. Because the state just will not allow you to hire somebody unless you have a law that allows them to come back full-time. Now, they could come back half-time if you have a half-time position and stay under their cap. But they cannot come back full-time without the legislation being extended. The other component is looked at our support positions, and we have somewhere around 26, 28 positions, certified teachers that are not in the classroom, like AIG and other areas. So what we will be able to do when we reduce the number of teaching positions by about 40, that will shoot up class size. I mean, that's just the way supply and demand works. But I'll be able to, I hope, move these folks back into the classroom, which will bring that class size number not all the way back down, but back down enough to where hopefully the teachers will not see a dramatic spike in the number of students. So what we will end up doing in essence is through attrition, through reclassification of different employees, we should be able to keep our class sizes about where they are this year and also not have to lose any certified positions.
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
In regards to the academically gifted program in the elementary school, if you were to move, say, the gifted and talented teachers into the classroom, that would change the, trying to think of the way to put this. What we've adopted in the past is our delivery system.
That plan will be revisited this Thursday. I'm going to discuss it with principals in the morning, and Thursday the AIG group will meet and present to them conceptually what I think we might want to do at all grade levels for academically gifted students.
Mr. Chair,
And the other thing I was going to mention is the State Department also eliminated third grade pretest. That's one of the ways, that's the first test they've eliminated. I think that's part of the goal that the governor had and Bill Harrison has to eliminate some of the testing. Third grade pretesting is eliminated, which means that there will not be a growth component to third grade.
you sent out an email that came out about a court case and the funding out of local funds. Where do we stand in the moving of those fundings that may have come to us outside of DPI, putting them in a separate account?
Tammy Howington and I have discussed that, and we will have Fund 7 or 8, one of the two, set up for next fiscal year to account for all revenue except for county appropriations and fines and forfeitures. Those will still be accounted for in Fund 2. Everything else will be in either Fund 7 or 8.
And once we do that, that's funds protected then?
They are.
Any further questions?
Mr. Chair, I move that we stand adjourned.
We are adjourned.